Broadcasting live from the Mystic Monastery on the plain of Tarkir, this is Tap Tap Concede. Welcome everybody to Tap Tap Concede. This is a sort of a news update episode with some recent interesting things that
there
have
are
come
some
up
snooze
that we haven't had a chance to talk about. James and I are going to talk a little bit about our experiences at the Community Cup.
I was sick.
We're gonna
Spoiler alert.
We're going to talk about the recent changes to the Commander ban list. Very interesting. And we're a little late to this, but the big change, of course, to the upcoming block structure in Magic is pretty relevant that we should definitely talk about. But first, it's time to crack a pack. Between Gen Con and PAX, we're overflowing. We actually have 25. I had to take a bunch out.
Dang.
Mother of God.
Overflowing with cards. Alex, you wanted to... Looks like you want to roll the giant D20 of fun. 7. 1,
Lucky.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh.
Saviors of Kamigawa. In English, no less. We did one of these in Chinese pretty recently.
So Saviors were
This was from... Oh, yes, I wrote it down. This was given to us by Utilitarian at PAX.
Hey!
So thank you.
I'm going to pull up which cards are worth
So
money.
Saviors, I'm trying to remember... Which one has Jite in it?
Not this one.
Betrayers, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't think this one has top either. It might.
No, it does not.
That is a really scary looking rat.
Well, it's because he's the Death Mask Nezumi.
Death Mask!
He's a 2/2 for 2 and a black.
Okay.
As long as you have 7 or more cards in your hand, Death Mask Nezumi gets +2/+1 and has fear.
Huh. If you can keep your hand full, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem likely to happen.
Doesn't seem that bad, though.
Yeah, I think it's, like, playable.
Cowed by Wisdom. It's a single white mana for a creature enchantment, and the creature can't attack or block unless its controller pays 1 colorless for each card in their hand.
Huh.
Okay.
So we saw an
It's
effect...
sort of like a one-person propaganda. Depends on...
Well, we saw an effect very similar to this in M15 with Oppressive Rays. Well,
Ah.
and Journey to Nyx.
Yeah.
But that was just a straight 3. This is 1 colorless for each card in hand. So it's...
Could be better, could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Aki.
Aki Underling. He's a 2/1 Goblin Warrior for 1 and a red. As long as you have 7 or more cards in your hand, Aki Underling gets +2/+1 and has first strike.
I guess
that
this
should
is
be
maybe
easy
a
for
cycle.
red.
Yeah, this should be really
Yeah,
easy for red.
exactly.
Red's going to just be
Great.
stacked.
Yeah.
Well, it does have the Goblin subtype at least.
Yeah, that's something.
All right, what else?
A weird mechanic.
Sheenan of Flight's Wings. It's a 3/3 spirit for 5 mana.
Does it fly?
It looks crazy. Yeah,
All
it
the
does fly.
Kami in this
Slam it.
set were really weird looking.
Yeah, they were so cool.
This guy's bizarre.
Yeah.
It also has Channel for a blue and discard Sheenan of Flight's Wings. Target creature gets flying until end of turn. So you can turn it into a
Flight.
flight, or is it flight or jump, or what's the?
I think
Oh,
they're the same.
yeah, it was jump.
I think it's
jump
the
was
same,
the
isn't it?
instant.
Yeah.
No, flight was
Oh,
the
yeah,
aura.
flight. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can so Channel apparently is like it's like Blood Rush kind of.
Sort of.
Or
That only works on attacking
No,
creatures.
there's
of course.
another...
Evoke.
So yeah, it's sort of like Evoke.
Kinda. I mean, this
You
can
discard
do-
it instead of...
You can do this instant speed. Like Evoke, you still have to do it whenever you can cast the creature
Okay,
spell.
so no, that actually seems fine.
So I don't know. I'd probably just rather
A 4/4
in
3/3 flyer for 5.
in draft. Probably I'd rather that, but I do like flexibility for stuff like that. You know, maybe you just need to get your giant thing over there. And like, surprise, I win. So I don't know. Fiddlehead Kami is a 3/3 for 5 in green. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, regenerate Fiddlehead Kami.
Doesn't seem...
I don't like that
No.
Nah, it's not very good.
because you gotta.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you can first main phase cast a spirit and then be like, and this
Regen shield.
guy has a regen shield, so whatever, he attacks. I don't care.
Yeah.
And like, I guess that works, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey,
Denied.
death denied. Black, and X. Instant, arcane. Return X creature cards from your graveyard to your hand.
No.
No? Just end of
Well, I
turn,
guess
Like restock your hand.
end of
but,
turn and fill your hand back up. It is instant, and it's arcane.
Okay.
So you can splice onto it.
Yeah. Like, draw 3 cards, kind of.
Yeah, I could see that. For 5. Yeah, for 5 mana, you're returning 3 creatures.
Okay. Yeah, no, I feel like that's your sort of like late game plan. You're just like, haha, here's all my stuff again.
Wasn't this reprinted in Modern Masters?
I don't know.
Or am I thinking of something else?
Maybe.
Yep, it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, with new art.
Then
be
it
that
must be
bad.
good.
Well, it can't be that garbage.
Yeah.
Sheenan of Fear's Chill.
brr.
So wait, the Sheenan of Flight's Wings had flying. What does the Sheenan of Fear's Chill have?
Fear.
Fear.
Fear, yeah. It also... Oh, no.
It just
No.
can't block.
No, it just
Can't
can't block.
block, yeah.
So I was totally wrong.
Wah,
I saw the word fear in the rules text, and I was like, oh, it totally has fear, but no, it's just the name of the card. So it's 3/2 for 4 and a black, and it can't block. But it has channel. So for 1 and a black and discard it, target creature can't block this turn. Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's the other one, it has flying, and you can give presumably your creature flying. This one can't block, and you can make your opponent's creature can't block. I
From
like
a
that.
flavor perspective, I like that. Even if the card's terrible.
It's overcosted. Spiritual Visit.
Ooh.
Instant arcane for a single white. Put a 1/1 colorless spirit token into play.
So it doesn't have flying.
No, it's a colorless token. It's not white. Even though this card is white, the spirit is not white.
Yeah.
But you can splice it onto arcane for white as
Okay,
well.
so it's like maybe you make a couple guys out of this.
Well, it reminds me a lot actually of Spirit Bonds from M15, right?
Right.
So it's whenever you cast an arcane spell,
Oh, yeah.
pay an additional.
Or an instant or sorcery.
Yeah, whenever you
Yeah,
cast
yeah.
an arcane instant or sorcery, pay an additional white, and you get a spirit.
Yeah.
Just randomly be like, oh, and this thing also just extra value. I mean, it's not. It's no Spirit Bonds. I'm not trying to say that it is, but yeah,
Extraordinarily
it's
valuable.
interesting. Also, the 1/1 colorless spirit tokens from Kamigawa look awesome. They're wood kami. They're really, really cool
Oh
looking.
yeah, they're so weird looking.
What's that, Paul?
Wow.
Just according to the gatherer user base, it's actually better than Spirit Bonds.
All right.
Interesting.
What's this?
Path of Anger's Flame.
Trumpet blast.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's Arcane Trumpet Blast. It's 2 and a red. Instant arcane creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. So yeah,
So
Yep.
strictly
That's-
better than trumpet blast.
I guess yeah. Unless you're playing against something that counters arcane spells, which why would you ever be? So
I can't imagine.
Dreamcatcher. It is a 1/1 for 1.
It looks like Emrakul.
It does look like Emrakul. It's little Babby Emrakul.
But yeah.
Oh, well, we know Emrakul.
So 1/1 for 1 for a single blue. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, you may sacrifice Dreamcatcher if you do draw a card.
Why is this in my deck?
Yeah.
Why is this a card?
That's terrible.
Why
art.
does this exist? I guess
I
because you
could
can
just play a better card instead.
I guess you can. Is there some way that you can
play a land?
Because this is a spirit. Can you sacrifice it and then get it back with some sort of spirit recursion
Or is
malarkey
there,
that we
like,
don't know
a blood
about?
artist
Oh, so we could
card
keep
in this
so we
set?
could keep using our crappy card. Is what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Well, you get to draw a card off it.
So it annihilators itself.
Yeah. I mean, what was the guy from? Wasn't there a blue 2-drop from Return to Ravnica block that you could sack to draw a card?
No, that was from Avacyn Restored. That was the research assistant.
Yeah. No, Research Assistant is the 1/3 from M15. This guy's he's a 2/1. He was just a piker, wasn't he? But you
I
could
thought
sack
it
him to
was a
draw a card.
1/1.
Dude, it's
I
sucking
can't-
out this guy's dreams.
Yeah. What's up, Paul?
and turning
Sorry,
them into
I-
dragons.
So to say, as a side note, the comment page on this one is 50% people going, "Oh, it's Baby Emrakul.
Nice.
When I grow up, I want to be an Eldrazi."
That's really
Well,
cute.
Also, there was the Oculus from or Scars block,
Oh yeah.
which was 1 and a blue for a 1/1. When it dies, draw a card.
Oh yeah.
And
The
you play
frilled
section on
Oculus.
something like that.
Yeah. Jared would
No.
put his opponents on tilt by calling it the frilled octopus. And they'd be like, "It's not an octopus," and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Oh,
I will block with my frilled octopus.
Yeah. Matsu Tribe Bird Stalker. James, it's a snake warrior archer.
Yeah, it's probably in my deck.
Probably.
Dang.
It's a 2/2 for 2 green. Whenever Matsu Tribe Bird Stalker deals combat damage to a creature, tap that creature.
Creature,
It
yeah.
doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step.
Yep.
And for a single green, it gets reach.
Yep.
Doesn't have reach initially, which is interesting.
That's weird.
so
Whenever it deals combat damage to a
Like
creature.
it freezes creatures, but it's only a 2/2.
But it's only if it deals combat damage to them, so it's probably dying.
Yeah.
It's like maybe this would be better if it was like a 1/3 or like a 1/4 or something.
It'd be way better.
Yeah. And if it already had reach, then it's just like,
Yeah.
well, actually, that'd be too
That'd be a
good.
much better card. Although this is 4 mana.
Yeah.
double green. I don't know.
It is a
Yeah.
common.
Captive Flame.
Foosh.
2 and a red for an enchantment that has an activated ability that target creature gets fire breathing.
It's awful fire breathing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really bad. I mean, you can give it to any creature, but yeah, target. So it's single red target
Oh,
creature
I
gets
see.
+1/+0.
Okay, well, So it's just like fire breathing for everyone. Maybe that's not as
Well,
bad as I
you can
thought.
give it to everyone, but it still costs. It's not like a single red and all your creatures
Well,
get fire
basically,
breathing.
how this card reads is like creatures you control have fire breathing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
weird. Locust Miser. He's a miser.
he's mising.
He's
Look,
a 2/2 for 2 black. He's a rat shaman.
he's just keeping one land, and he's gonna get there.
You know what's relevant with these other cards
What?
that we saw earlier?
Rat subtype.
Each opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 2.
Oh,
That guy,
Womp,
Jer must have this guy in his rat commander deck, right?
probably.
Possibly, yeah.
Like, what a miser, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get mised out.
Hey!
Oh, this is really actually quite good.
Manriki Gusari. This is like a modern sideboard card. Actually.
No, this card is actually quite tech.
So artifact equipment for 2 colorless, and the equip cost is 1 colorless. The equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has tap, destroy target equipment.
Destroy target GT or
Yeah.
batter skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does this
Sword
work,
of
Ken? You were telling me the
fire.
other day that it's like the player, or maybe it was Jared who was telling me about this, but it's like when you play your Stoneforge in the mirror match, do you go looking? If you're playing your Stoneforge first, do you go looking for the batter skull, knowing that your opponent has boarded in their Manriki Gusari, or do you go looking for your Manriki Gusari?
Right.
It's like this weird dance that the Stoneblade mirror match has to play around each other. Is this worth anything?
It's worth $1.
Yeah, it's $1. But
It's the most
it's real
expensive uncommon in the set.
What'd you get?
We got the granddaddy of a card from Khans of Tarkir.
What?
This is the Celestial Kirin.
Oh.
It is 2 white for a 3/3 flyer, which seems fine. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, destroy all permanents with that spell's converted mana cost.
Sorry, what?
Excuse me? Let me read that again. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell,
Yeah.
destroy all permanents with that spell's converted mana cost.
It's good douche.
So,
Wow. Interesting.
That is weird.
okay.
So you just don't play any 4-drops, and you
I'm
get this 3/3
listening.
flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a cycle. There's 6, by my count, there are 6 Kirin in Magic. There's a cycle of 5 in Kamigawa block, and there's the Alabaster Kirin from Khans of Tarkir. I don't know why it's there. I was like, what is this? Why is it a Kirin? Is this a new thing? And someone was like, no, it's from Kamigawa. And it's the same sort of thing. It's a weird, like, spirit horse.
I guess I take the Kieran.
I probably
That's
take.
so weird.
I probably take the. Do I take the
rare draft
Gusari?
of the
Yeah, I do.
No.
I think I just take the money card,
The $1.
the $1 money card.
How do you play with this card? You have to, like...
You don't. You pass it.
You cast... No, but how would you? You would cast it and then start casting Spirit or Arcane spells of every other converted mana cost to just wipe your opponent's stuff?
I guess.
And hope they don't have a relevant 4-drop?
Whenever you play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you cast something... Is there a Spirit or Arcane spell with a converted mana cost of 0?
I doubt it.
Can you kill their... Can you wipe out land? Because it doesn't say non-land.
Yeah.
Oh.
no.
Oh.
I would play that card just to play around with it.
Yeah. Interesting.
How peculiar.
How peculiar. I like it.
All right.
Maybe that's the sort of thing that would come up in Commander.
It is a legendary creature.
Ooh,
It is.
Commander, you say.
Let's talk about Commander. So they made some
Changes
changes this past September, which is to say the month we're currently in. This
So, I
past
haven't
September.
heard
I don't know,
these changes.
don't know why
I
I
don't-
said
Neither
that.
have I actually.
I don't actually play Commander, but I'm always interested to see what's going on.
So it's a couple changes, respective of a broader change to how they're doing the Commander ban lists. So, Braid's Cabal Minion is banned.
Okay.
Yep.
No, remains banned, I thought.
Yeah, I think.
Yes. So this is interesting. Rafellos is banned,
Uh-huh.
and Ireo Soratami Ascendant is banned.
Was
Now
it?
they were banned as
Yeah.
commanders before. What they've done is they've gotten rid of banned and banned as commander.
Yeah, right.
So
and
there's just can't play at all.
Yeah, there's just banned or not banned, but FYI, this is a pretty problematic commander. But what that means is that Metalworker is unbanned, and Kokusho the Evening Star is unbanned.
Is he legendary?
Yes.
Yes.
What the shit?
He's unbanned, but problematic as a commander
You don't say.
That's
because he's a
What?
complete butthole to play against. Kokusho the Evening Star, by the way, is one of the legendary dragons. They were reprinted recently in Modern Masters. They're from Kamigawa Block originally. Whenever he dies, every opponent loses 5 life, and you gain all that life.
Yeah.
if you look in the dictionary under blowout,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you will find this dragon coming out of the page.
So here's the announcement on it. There are in essence 2 changes here. The first is that we've decided to eliminate ban as commander. Having multiple lists was unnecessary informational overhead. We felt it was clearer to have a single streamlined ban list and add a problematic as commander to the ban list criteria. Doing that meant we needed to evaluate the 4 cards on that list. Fully banning Braids and Raphelos were easy calls because Raphelos, especially given Raphelos' last stint, Raphelos is an insane commander.
Yeah.
Like
It's pretty
he's a really powerful card, but as a commander he would be
Stupid.
absolutely bonkers. He apart from just looking so gosh darned happy,
Wait, who's Raphelos again?
he's the elf.
Yeah.
It's like green
green-
for a 2/1.
He's it's ROF. Paul's just looking him up.
Rothlos.
Roth L-O-L-O-L-O-L-O.
And you
He
tap him
taps
Couple
for a
levels.
green for every creature you control.
for every elf you control.
Elf you control. What?
Is that correct?
Oh,
No, it's every forest you control.
Or yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which
I'm
means
thinking,
that-
I'm
this
thinking the other
dirtbag.
one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can guarantee the harshest ramp off this guy.
yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I remember him now.
He's just like
Yeah.
a hugely unfair mana advantage.
And then apparently Ireo Soratami Ascendant was the most contentious. It's a bigger problem in competitive play, which we don't really consider, but is it is a miserable card to play against at all levels.
Yeah. She just turns off one of your first spell every turn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she gives everything the first spell is countered thing?
Well, I forget what she does when she's one of the flip cards.
Oh, okay.
From-
I'm gonna move
from-
up on that.
But you
She's
can
one of the
flip
flip-
it really
Yeah, you
easily.
can flip it fairly easily, and when she's turned around, she counters the first spell cast by an opponent every turn, I think.
That sounds horrible.
E-R-A-Y.
ERAYO.
Irrayo.
She's one of the ones that also is, her art is a trompe l'oeil.
A what?
Trompe l'oeil or whatever.
Oh, I see.
So what is... Paul's going to have to give us the
All right,
what that does.
Ooh, these don't display together very well. So she's a, I don't know what's. There's flip cards which are from Innistrad. This is like a rotate card.
No, this is a flip card.
This is a flip card. The ones from Innistrad are double face.
Double
Double
face.
face cards. Oh, okay. Anyway, so she comes down as a legendary creature, Moonfolk Monk.
Okay.
Same as Tamio.
Yep. Tamio's a moonfolk from Kamigawa.
And
Moon people.
so she comes down for 2 and flying, and whenever the 4th spell of a turn is played, flip her.
Okay.
So that sounds like it'll happen pretty often.
So when she flips,
Especially in a commander game.
she turns into a legendary enchantment. So no longer. So already
Removable.
this is bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
And counter the first spell played by each opponent each turn.
Oh,
Yeah, that just sounds like a big pile of not fun.
fun police.
I wanted to play this when I first heard about Commander. I was looking for one.
But they do.
Well, at least with when you have like your counterbalance thing out, at least you have to actually do something.
Yeah, counterbalance not terribly effective in Commander because I don't run a lot of 7 drops.
But at least you have to actually actively do something.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
you just sit there and it's like the first spell you play
Is a write-off.
just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You have
Especially when it's something like Erase.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
somebody's very uncommon enchantment removal.
to. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's also each opponent each turn, which means also during your turns.
Yeah.
So if they
So,
try
like-
to counter anything you do,
Yeah.
that's countered as
So
well.
I guess Mono Blue had. Well, I mean, she was always banned as a commander, but like Mono Blue just uses Vendilion and
I
Cleave.
gotta say,
Yeah.
I'm a little confused about the decision to, like, have cards that are banned
Mm-hmm.
and then cards that are not banned but problematic. It's like,
Well, it's like the same thing that Games Workshop does.
what's that?
where they're like, we aren't going to ban or patch or fix this army list at all, but we don't feel it's playing in the spirit of the list.
Yeah, you kind of shame people into
Yeah.
being like,
I guess.
And it
At-
doesn't
at,
work.
at that
Okay.
rate, like,
No,
why
it
wouldn't you
doesn't.
just ban it?
yeah.
You know, it's just like, is there really that much difference between it's just like, oh, you straight can't play this anymore. It's like, oh, you could play this if you were a dirtbag.
Well, that's sort of how I feel about Kokusho. Like, you could play him as a commander if you're a dirtbag. Like, he's really awful to play against.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
like I gain 15 life in a commander pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gain 15 life and everyone else loses 5, and there's so many ways to, like, sack him and
Or
then,
just
like, recur
blink him.
him.
I mean, to me-
blink him.
To me,
No,
Is it when he dies or leaves?
no,
It doesn't
when he
really
dies.
matter. Yeah.
To
When
me,
he
that
dies?
it just
Okay.
feels like it's giving tools to the dirtbag player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like people who are friendly about this format won't play it,
Mm-hmm.
and people who aren't will play it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like it's making the experience worse for people who aren't awful. That's my 2 cents in a format I don't play.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the change seems fine overall. Like, I think I don't think this is any. I don't actually think this is functionally any different from having 2 lists. But
No.
I'm not the rules committee, so whatever.
Has
I'm
anything?
not?
What? No, I'm not. I'm sorry to break that to you.
No.
So I guess this is not really an actual. These are not really actual big changes
No.
per se, because technically before you could run Roffalos, you just couldn't have him as a commander.
Correct.
So now he's
Yeah,
just
it's-
now he's
Yeah,
just
it's just
banned.
banned. Yeah.
It's like get it out.
Yeah. So that's probably
he does
fine.
ramp really hard.
Real hard. Well,
Real
so does Metalworker, but only for artifacts.
Yeah, Metalworkers. Interesting. Okay, it's like, well, I guess somebody makes the mono brand Fun Police deck if you've got like $50 hojillion.
Well, the argument
Oh,
is
man,
that
and then
the
you could run smokestacks.
The argument here is that
God.
the all-in nature of Metalworker leaves it vulnerable to mass artifact removal, and when it isn't performing optimally, it's a pretty weak card, although still part of several combo engines.
That's fair.
Aside from Shroom, a deck that can already be built to a competitive extreme, the decks that most look to use Metalworker have already got a lot of disadvantages to overcome, so allowing them the occasional early explosion should be acceptable risk.
All right.
Wait, Shroom's also a problematic commander?
It's not labeled as such, but your deck is. Your
It
deck's
just plays mana rocks.
your deck's really good.
Well,
like
it doesn't
the-
exist anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't like. Yeah.
Can
Like, I wasn't just saying like
say
good as in like it's very powerful to play against. It's also just cool.
Yeah.
What's up, Paul?
Sorry, quick update. I was looking at arcane and spirit cards
Mhm.
that cost 0.
Ooh.
There is one,
What?
sort of.
Okay.
Evermind
Okay.
is an arcane card that has no casting cost.
What?
Okay.
Oh,
Can
yeah,
only
yeah,
be-
So
can
it's
only be
it
spliced.
can only be spliced, but its casting converted mana cost is 0.
Mhm.
So, but the thing is, splicing doesn't actually
Cast
cast the
it.
card.
No.
Oh.
Right.
So you have
But-
to cascade into it.
But there are a few edge
Okay.
cases that you can actually end up casting it
Like
through. They,
oh,
they
you could
actually
epic
specifically
experiment
mentioned
into it.
Sunforger,
Okay.
which is a
The perfect Johnny card.
which is a Sunforger is a piece of equipment that one of the things it can do is search your library for a. Oh no, the Sunforger wouldn't do it because it looks for a red or white card.
No.
But anyway, or there's a wait. There's
So you
another
get
one.
Painter Servant. And you name red,
Well, Cam's
and then
already
you
said-
Sunforger into
Well,
this thing.
like Cam said, you could epic experiment into it, or you could cascade into it.
Mhm.
Those both work. What about the
There's
that?
other-
What about that?
Mind's Desire into it.
Kano Manimo Historian,
Uh huh.
which for X and tap allows you to play a card with converted mana cost X that has been removed from the game by him.
Uh-huh.
And when he comes into play,
Oh, you tuned it for something.
remove 3 instant cards from the game. So theoretically, you could use him to remove it from the game, do the other thing,
Have the Kieran in play, cast the 0 cost spell.
and then cast a
And
0
then blow
cost
up all their
spell,
lands.
and then
No, no,
blow
but
up
when-
all their 0 casting
But
cost things.
that guy copies it, right? He doesn't cast it.
I think
No.
You
Play
may
the card
Oh,
with converted mana cost X.
wait. Play.
That's
that- is
that
that-
that count. That means
Okay.
cast.
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
what does Mind's Desire do?
You know, Evermind.
Evermind.
Yeah, we didn't actually ask
Yeah, I was gonna say.
what Evermind actually does.
probably-
What are we getting?
Draw a card.
Awesome. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm
sweet.
in.
Let's do it.
The
Draw
point
a
of
card.
Evermind is that it's
Wrath or
you can't do it.
Armageddon.
You can't
Yeah.
do anything with it. Like you can't cast it except
Right.
for Splicing Arcane, which costs 2.
So it's just like cantripping.
So it's just you turn any card,
Yeah,
you pay
you
an extra
into a
2
thing
on any
twice.
card and turn it into a cantrip.
All right,
Okay.
all right. I love it. We got there.
All right.
Thank you,
I'm in.
everybody.
I'm
Wow.
in. I'm into this
man.
combo.
The only spirit card that has 0 mana cost is just the spirit token, which obviously you can't cast.
Right.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I mean, like, I'm into Kamigawa block constructed now. And it's like pull off this combo, and my opponent's like attack you with 2 Jite.
Yeah.
You're just like,
All right. Well, I got to do my thing.
Yeah, as long as we're all happy here. All right. So the other big big change that happened recently was the announcement of the new block structure for Magic. The core set is going away.
Boo. Wait. Yay.
Yay?
Wait. Is that good? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool that the core set.
I mean, they
has
haven't
always
announced
been-
what's taking place, right? Like what it's actually.
So I guess. Well, okay. So here's what's happening. We had M15 and we have Cons of Tarkir, and there's three sets in Cons block, and then there'll be Magic 2016 or whatever they call it, and then that's going to be the last core set.
and then
And then in the following September, there will be big set for that, and then small set in
January.
and then a big. What are you doing, Paul? Paul's trying to stop the lens flare from coming into the camera.
Cam, do you want to maybe shut the window?
It's fine.
Yeah, don't worry.
Then
Not my job.
there'll be a big set when the third set usually is in a different expansion block, like a whole different block, a different world,
Yeah.
a different draft environment, in place of the third set, and then the small set to that big set releases when the core set has done previously.
Correct.
So instead of, and I realize that sometimes sets are bigger, sets are smaller. Instead of the four major releases a year being big, small, and then core set,
Or variation of
or
big, small,
variation
small,
thereof, with the first three being in one world, in one draft environment, instead
Yeah.
of big, small core. It's now big, small, big, small.
Yeah.
Big, small.
And then repeat.
Yeah.
It's big, small, big, small, big, small.
And
big, small.
so,
And we get rotation day twice a year now.
yeah, and so now standard is going to rotate more quickly.
yeah.
So there will be more chances for the standard format to refresh, which everyone is pretty happy about. There'll be likely more interesting cards in standard because you'll have more disparate environments going on.
Yes.
I mean, maybe that'll help. From a flavor perspective, we get to see 2 new worlds every year, which I think is pretty sweet. And it means that the downside is that, I guess, is that we no longer have a core set. Some people don't consider that a downside. I don't think it's necessarily that big of a downside, but I always did like that there was the core set draft environment that was much more sort of like much
Straightforward.
much more
It's
straightforward.
simplified.
Bread and butter.
It's been very good the last several years, yeah. But they've realized, and there's a great post on this from Mark Rosewater, that they realized that like there's things they were trying to do with the core set that like there's things that it needed to do that it wasn't doing, and things that it shouldn't have done that it was, but like overall it was still good. It just was in this weird space where it like wasn't doing what they needed it to do. So they're getting rid of it. They're reorganizing the thing like that, and then they're going to have some other product, they said, or some other way to introduce new people to the game, because the core set is for new players, but then they always had to make it cool enough that the enfranchised players like us would still want to play it.
Yeah.
And meaning it had this weird complexity thing going on. So I guess maybe they're going back in more sort of like a Portal direction. I don't know what they could do.
I have no idea.
But
We're gonna
it's
get those swords and shields back on the cards.
but it's interesting because this is the one of the first like major changes to Magic that I saw almost no objections to. Like this was almost universally well received on the internet, which is an astonishing feat for an announcement involving Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I was like,
Considering that the tiny changes to the card frames were met with controversy.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm glad I wasn't playing when they did stuff like taking damage off the stack or
Dude,
or
people-
putting it on the stack and
Yeah.
the first time.
There was no internet back then. People weren't angry. People were.
There was no internet, so no one was angry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it. So yeah, I think this is pretty sweet. What do you guys think?
I mean,
Yeah.
it has no bearing on me for standard because I don't play standard. I mean, maybe I'll start, but I don't know. I mean,
I don't play standard either, but I watch standard,
sure.
and I'm excited to not have like 2 years of the same deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it takes standard a few months to converge on a solution.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think this is incredibly good for standard.
Well,
I
it'll-
don't play standard because standard decks cost quite a lot, right? Like, they cost almost as much as a modern deck in some situations.
Yep.
And I'd rather play an Eternal format, but, like, you know, more cards, more rotations.
Yeah,
The
I'm
market's
excited.
probably a lot more volatile and
Yeah.
probably healthier.
I'm excited about like the more cards and more rotations because like I play Eternal formats and I'm always looking for like new, fresh and interesting stuff. And the core sets were always like kind of intentionally generic fantasy,
Yeah.
kind of like very bread and buttery, ordinary mechanics.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get like weirder, goofier.
I can't.
niche
Im-
stuff.
I can't imagine the strain this is going to put on the creative team because they have to create 2 new worlds every year now.
Well, maybe they'll. I thought they had like A team and B team.
I think they've actually hired some more people on the creative team.
Yeah,
recently.
I think they kind of have to
Okay,
going
here's
forward.
my set idea. All the cards have Storm. Just no, wait, let me finish.
By that point, Mark Rosewater's
The
already thrown you
lands
out of the
have
building.
Storm.
Landstorm. I'm listening. I'm listening.
You can play an extra land for every land you play this turn.
I mountain and storm into an island and storm into a swamp.
Tap to add
What-
green
what
to your
we're going
mana
to do
pool for
is
every
have
spell played this
Storm
turn.
and Cascade in the same block,
It's like
but they're going to be
have,
in different colors. But we're going to have one piece of fixing it
Oh
common.
wow! So
You guys are unhireable.
you're just the
Oh,
worst.
I'm
It's just
really
like
excited
I
about
hope you
this
like
idea.
triggers because you just fired your whole deck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
And then a mill card.
I was just thinking that the other thing, this means no double standard summer thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
summers were-
the summer of enormous standard is no more.
yeah,
Like we're in,
unified standard.
like we were just in.
We were
As of
literally
today.
as it today. It's rotation day when we record this.
Yeah.
But so yesterday there were 8 blocks available
Yeah.
in standard.
well, yeah,
Which
because
is colloquially known as unified standard, I think.
yesterday it was Return to Ravnica, Gatecrash, Dragon's Maze, M14,
Yep.
Theros, Born of the Gods, Journey into Nyx, M15 was all
6.
legal in
Or,
standard.
no, that's 8. No,
No.
no.
Then-
Cons comes in today. All of Theros rotates out.
No.
All of RTR.
All of RTR.
RTR
and M14.
and M14.
So now it's only thing. But then it's after some transitionary jumbling. There's, again, you should go read the article that Mark Rosewater wrote about this because there's some very educational animated GIFs that explain this. But eventually what it will be is it will be 3 of these new
Yes.
blocks. So it'll be big, small, big, small, big, small. So it'll be 6.
Yeah.
And then as soon as a new big block comes out, the oldest big and small sets go away.
Yeah.
So it'll be between 5 and 6.
blocks
Yeah.
of cards.
Then,
sets.
Which seems a lot more stable.
Yeah.
yeah.
And they said that this will, because then they don't have this sort of the outlet of the core set that's sort of like, no, that's where the reprints go. They'll be more aggressive with reprints in these expansions going forward. Because, you know, even in Cons of Tarkir, there's like 5 or 6 cards that are reprints from earlier blocks. Maybe more. Maybe I just don't know them all. But very, very few. Whereas the core set is typically like almost half
50%,
reprints.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But now they'll be sort of turning up the reprint amount.
And
Turn
will
out
this
for what?
overall lead to like higher quality of cards in a limited environment because they don't?
I don't know. I think, and I mean, so that's the other thing is that so this is all great for Standard. I think everyone, like all the pros, agree this is great for Standard. People like us, like James and I were saying, we just watch it. I think this is good for us because just watching Standard because it's not going to be the same decks for 2 years. And this is good for like if you're fans of world building and all that, you get to see more stuff like that. We don't really know sort of how drafting is going to go with the way that these new sets are done. I would imagine that it's mostly going to be that the sort of the default would be.
I would assume it'd be
large, and then small, large.
Yeah,
but they could
throw curveballs.
They could change that up.
Yeah,
they could do small, large. They could mess it up. But I think that's going to be what that avoids for drafting is the sort of the third set, like thud.
Yeah,
where the sort of, or actually in the case of, for me anyway, in the case of like Scars block or Theros block, the middle set was like a dull thud because they had to save splashy stuff for the last set. And so the middle one was like a little less interesting.
Yeah.
Like in Theros block, I much preferred full block draft to Born Theros.
Sure.
I preferred triple Theros over all three of them, but I preferred Journey Born Theros to Born Theros because I was just sort of like,
Yep.
So that at least is good because we'll get a tighter limited environment, but we don't really know sort of how that's going to present itself necessarily.
And we got a little ways to go to find out.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, this isn't happening until we've got Fate Reforged coming out in January. Then we've got the third set of Khans of Tarkir block.
Is this Huey, Dewey, Louie?
Yeah, this is Huey, Dewey, Louie. So we've got Fate Reforged, and then we got Louie, still yet name unannounced, though probably Dragons of Tarkir.
Yeah.
What?
So they've trademarked. So last year, someone found through a trademark filing that the Wizards had trademarked Khans of Tarkir, Warlords of
Something.
Hang on. See, I want to say Warlords of Draenor, but that's the World of Warcraft thing.
Wasn't it just Warlords of Tarkir?
No, it wasn't.
I thought it was.
No, it was Khans of Tarkir, Warlords of something, and then Dragons of Tarkir. But the Warlords of something, because this is the set that's like theoretically back in time,
Right.
What?
right? Yeah, that's the rumor is that this because they've said there's time travel in this block.
Buh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Time Walk reprint confirmed.
And by the way, we messed up last time. They have totally announced
Yes,
the
they
draft
have.
set, and
Yeah.
it's me again. It's cons,
Yeah.
and then small set cons, or sorry, Fate Reforged cons,
Yeah.
and then Fate Reforged Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
There's going to be a lot
That
of
might
fetches
not be
opened.
accurate. But anyway, so the point being, the rumor is that they didn't go with Warlords of whatever because Blizzard announced the World of Warcraft expansion Warlords of Draenor, and that it sounded too similar,
Right.
and so they called it Fate Reforged. But the rumor is still that Louis, the third set, is still going to be Dragons of Tarkir. The implication being that
The dragons have returned.
Soren goes back in time
Right.
and changes the timeline and comes back, and now there's dragons on Tarkir.
So just like
Right.
Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Spaghetti.
Oh God.
Is that actually? I don't.
Well,
What happens in Warlords of Draenor is that what's his name?
Warlords of Kanar
Kanar, right? Yeah.
is the wizard's thing.
Garrosh Hellscream goes back in time and prevents Grom Hellscream from drinking Manoroth's blood.
Oh,
And
It's
so
it's changing the
orcs-
timeline.
The orcs do not wind up being corrupted by the Burning Legion,
Yeah.
Huh.
but they still like the I guess the arc words for that expansion are we are not slaves, but we are conquerors.
So
Cray.
Yeah.
Super uncomfortable.
it's interesting. Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, so it is no longer Warlords of Kanar. It is now Fate Reforged. That is unproven, by the way. That is a rumor.
Yeah.
But fact is, Wizards did trademark Dragons of Tarkir, Warlords of Kanar, and Khans of Tarkir at the same time. And
Yeah.
so it is supposed that that's why they called it Fate Reforged.
Is there a lore source for Kanar now, other than like the Cardassian drink from Star Trek.
So
No, is it Kanar?
Tarkir,
What?
Draenor.
No. In
Oh, the Cardassian drink.
yeah,
I think it's Kanar.
yeah, undrinkable.
Speaking of which,
Star Trek.
the lore for Tarkir is they're not doing any ebooks. All the lore is going to be dispensed in the Unforgotten Realms articles on Daily MTG.
Oh, sweet.
So check those out if you haven't read the
So
Unforgotten.
Wizards
I-
has Forgotten Realms and Unforgotten Realms.
Yes.
So I
That's
don't have to. I don't have to wade through.
or Uncharted Realms. Did I mess that up because I got confused with D&D?
So I can finally figure out what happens in the block without having to read one of the novels.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it makes it's interesting because I never.
it's Uncharted Realms. I'm sorry.
Uncharted, yeah.
Vorthos' notes.
I have never read any of the ebooks, but I feel like this makes it a little bit more accessible, which is always
Give
good.
me the short version of the fluff.
Yeah, like that's
I
kind of
want
what I want. I don't need to dive
Well, like-
into a couple 100-page
Yeah, like
novel
I mean,
about.
I'm sure the novels don't take very long to read, but I
Sure.
still don't know what happened to Zendikar, right? Like I get the impression from that one card that they killed Emrakul,
Sure.
but Soren's here looking for help against the Eldrazi.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Chad one-shotted Emrakul. At least in that one
oh,
card.
right, yeah,
Yeah, he's just like punched it out.
right.
It's just like, sick.
That's exactly what he said.
Also, I say Chad, I mean Gideon.
Gideon.
Yeah, then
Yeah,
he
I was gonna
crushed a
say
brew.
I think that's kind of a us
Just
name,
crushed
isn't
Crushed
it?
a brew.
Wham! It's like, goes to the pub, the guy tries to charge him, it's like, I just killed Emrakul.
Yeah.
I think you can give me a break today.
Then he goes over to Jace's place and they play Halo.
So 2 days ago, an Uncharted Realms went up called Soren's Revelation, which is talking about why Soren is on Tarkir and what he's up to and why he's such a solemn visitor and all that stuff. So
Why are you so sad, bro?
Hey, so how come Sarkhan isn't crazy anymore?
he got
He
better.
got better. He's just like,
he could still be kind of crazy.
He wasn't
I was on-
crazy.
I was on
he wasn't
one-
crazy. He was just mad.
I thought
don't think it was that kind
the
of
root
mad.
of his madness was the dissonance between Ugin and Nicol Bolas.
Yeah, he's certainly troubled.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say Nickelback.
Nicholas Pickles.
Nicholas Pickles.
Wow.
Little Nicky.
deep-
Are we getting a new Nicol Bolas?
Deep
Yeah,
cuts
maybe.
for Canadian fans. The Nicholas Pickles there. Fingers crossed for Ugin, though. There's the key art for Fate Reforged is Sarkhan screaming and exploding into fire and all that stuff. And there's a big
As he does.
there's a big shadowy dragon in the back who doesn't look like Nicol Bolas, but it could be Ugin, which
Is
would
he
be
just gonna like ghost
really
fire?
cool.
I want to see just like him doing a flyover with ghost fire. He's got his mouth open and everything's burning, but you don't see anything.
Ooh.
Yeah,
How-
well, I
how
love
cool would that
that
be?
artwork for Ghostfire?
It's so cool. Did you see the ghost knife?
Yeah,
Yeah, the Ghostfire
Yeah.
blade.
It's so cool.
Also a good card, by the way.
Very good
Yeah,
card.
just-
Especially with all those morphs.
Yeah, I really want to play the the Trail of Mystery deck.
Trail of Mystery, yeah.
Apparently, one of the somebody put it together on the special draft night that
Oh, yeah?
everyone
Wait, what?
did with their prizes, and it was bad.
What's the Trail of Mystery?
So Trail
Precious.
of Mystery is a well. First of all, Paul's got the Ghostfire blade up. It's one. It's a 1-drop that is 3 to equip.
3 to equip, and
Sorry, Paul. The Ghostfire blade is 3 to equip. I think it is,
And
but it's cheaper
two-
if it's
two-
targeting a
two
colorless,
colorless.
It
less,
is
it's-
1-drop, 3 to equip. Equipped creature gets +2/+2,
which is already fine.
Yeah.
and it's 2 less if
Attached to a colorless
if it
creature.
attacks to a color. So
That's
it
really
equips,
good.
It equips
Yeah.
for 1 if it connects to a colorless creature.
So
you put
I.e. a morph.
So you put it on your morph creature, and it gets it's a 4/4, and then you flip it, and it's still equipped. So
Yep.
then your morph is just huge.
Yeah.
Better than Bone Splitter, Grant.
Yeah. I know.
It would be good.
know.
It would be pretty sweet on an Eldrazi too.
Emrakul, watch out, he's got a knife.
Worm Coil Engine.
Where is it? I need a banana for scale.
Coil engine.
But
Oh my
it's-
god, it becomes an 8.
Mirror Battlesphere.
It's like I just played
Yeah.
this 11-drop, but I'm trying to save my mana. So
yeah.
Dude, we gotta go big. Draco.
No.
Oh God.
We put 7 of these on the Dreamcatcher,
No,
and then he's a 15.
No,
15.
and then you give him Argentum armor.
Oh, okay. And then he's
Then
like,
he's actually Emrakul.
now I'm Emrakul. So sorry, Trail of Mystery is this. We talked about it briefly last time because it was
Yeah,
the rare that Kathleen
super
got.
Goofy.
It's enchantment for 1 and a green. Whenever a face-down creature enters the battlefield under your control, you go looking for a basic land and put it into your hand. And then whenever a face-down creature of yours is turned face up, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, so you draft this, and then you just draft every morph card you can find.
And then whenever you play the morph spell, you get to go looking for the land that you need to fix the flipping the morph up.
Yeah.
So you can just go 5-color morph creatures.
Yeah. You go deep with this
And
card.
then they get...
This card seems sweet, actually.
You flip them and they get big and you slam. And like it seems... I'm sure someone's going to make a bonkers draft deck with this at some point, but...
It's going to be me.
Just gonna get
I'm
there.
gonna do it.
I hope it's you, James.
Yeah,
I
it's
hope
gonna be
it's
me.
you. I hope
The
it's
guy who
us.
put this
I hope we
together-
get to do this on stream.
Yes.
He did okay with it, but that's just because he had good morph creatures.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
that's the thing is you just take the best morph creature in
Yeah.
the pack after that, and hope you get a Ghostfire Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just hope that this is in your opening hand.
Got the shiv between the McRibs.
All right.
So the first time we got to see Khans of Tarkir, at least for James and I, was we were recently in Seattle for the Community Cup. Lucky!
Woo.
Which was pretty sweet. James has now not missed a Community Cup in 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Because you went down there when I went down there.
Yeah,
and then they didn't have me down when you went.
Nope.
And then they had us both down last year, and then both down this year.
Yep.
And we were there to sort of do commentary to help out a bit. James was supposed to do floor reporting, but got sick.
On the first day, I did it the second day.
He did some floor reporting, and I was pinch hitting for
I did.
Nate Holt for Walking the Plains. So check out the latest episode of Walking the Plains if you haven't seen it already. But that was a ton of fun. I mean, the Community Cup always is, but
Yes.
they had a cool team this year. They didn't lose, which is good for them.
It's good for me.
Yeah. Why is that good for you?
Well, I got to keep my record as being on the only losing
The
team.
only losing community
Yeah,
team.
like that's actually more impressive than what you did. Think about it. You're one of what, like 5 teams that have won? That's not special. 5 other teams have done it. Nobody else has lost.
Were you instrumental in that loss?
I was like incredibly. I think if I went, I can't remember what my overall. I think I actually ended the weekend 6-6 of my 12 matches. Like I was incredibly average.
well, that's fine.
Like I
Right.
batted 500. I was happy. I don't think I was like the reason we lost. I mean, I will fully say the reason we lost that year is because it was the last year that they did a constructed format that you knew about it beforehand. And our best deck builder, Connolly Woods, on the team was deep in preparation for Pro Tour that was coming up. So he wasn't actually able to help us very much in the deck construction of our decks. So the decks weren't actually done until the night before, at which point we really didn't get much chance to play them. And on the opposite team, they had Gavin
Verhey.
work on their decks for, I believe, several weeks leading up to the event.
He tested their decks.
Yeah, he tested their
he
decks.
built destructive decks.
And that is the round in which they completely crushed us.
Yeah.
And took the lead, and we weren't able to catch back up. I remember actually we did pretty well on that was the third of 4 formats, and we did quite well on the last one, but it was just not enough to catch up with the distance that they put between us
'cause
in
I-
that third round.
From the win record, I'm getting the impression that the Community Cup is basically like the Harlem Globetrotters, right?
And the Wizards team is the Washington Generals.
Yeah.
Actually, this year's team on Wizards, they had
They had a very good team this year.
they had how many Pro Tour top 8s were there spread out across their team?
Quite a few.
They had 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
They had Mike Turian and Dave Humphreys.
Yeah, so they had those two. They had Aaron Forsythe,
Aaron Forsythe, Tom Lapilli.
Tom Lapilli, who's a very good player.
So they had Helene Bergeau, who's not much of a player.
No.
They had
The new guy whose name I cannot remember.
is his first or last name Matthew?
Yeah,
Matthew Gregory?
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Who's a Magic Online set developer.
Yep.
I'm
I'm trying to remember.
Worth Walpert.
Yeah.
And he's got a Pro Tour top 8.
Yep. But that was back in the early days when it was easy to get them.
That's when anyone could get a Pro Tour top
Exactly.
8.
I could have Pro Tour. I could have top 8 at a Pro Tour back then.
I have 4.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
no
got
big
them at
deal.
home.
Who was the last person?
can't-
Is that 7? Who are we forgetting? Now I feel like a dick.
Right?
I feel like I knew everybody on that team almost.
Aaron, Helene, Dave Humphreys, Tom Lapilli, Mike Turian, Worth Walpert,
Elaine.
Matthew Gregory.
Did we already say?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God, who was the last
Oh,
person?
Ryan.
Oh yeah, Ryan Spain.
Ryan Spain.
Awkward.
Super uncomfortable.
Oh dear. I know Marshall listens to this podcast. He's going to be laughing pretty hard.
Oh, he'll love that. Are you kidding me? Ryan
Yeah.
Spain, coward.
Coward.
Remember?
Ryan Spain.
So, okay. One of the things that we did at the Community Cup was the stipulation cube draft, where they drafted the Magic Online cube with stipulations that this year were developed by Gavin Verhey at Wizards. Some of them were inspired by some of the cube stipulations that we'd done previously. Some of them were not. And one of them was I think it was just called Cowardice or Cowardly or Cowards Can't Block
Something
Warriors
like-
or
yeah.
something. And it was that he had to pick the card with the least threatening artwork. So, for example, Tidings, because it looks like someone writing a letter home, right? It's like not threatening at all. But then when it was up on the overlay for broadcast, there's Tidings. People had their stipulation listed under their name, and so there was like someone or other. It was like Scott McCallum, Magic Editor, which was funny because his thing had to do with like numbers of words in the card title, and so it looked like he was Magic Editor. And then Ryan Spain, Coward.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
Pretty awesome.
Is that like that picture from the Maple Leafs game of Kit Harington in the stands?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Jon Snow, comma, Ned Stark's bastard, comma, knows nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was funny. They did the other, and they had Marshall sit in with Ryan and judge that one to make sure that he was making good picks. The other judged or sort of adjudicated one that for the community team was Sean Day9 Plot was doing the card that the name sounds most like an old arcade game.
Yeah.
And Brian David Marshall was his adjudicator, and I disagree with some of BDM's choices. I got to say, specifically the one that I remember. I can't remember what they ended up taking, but he somehow let Sean get away without picking Savage Lands,
Wow.
which is just like obviously an old 8-bit arcade game. Clearly,
Yeah, I've seen you fighting dinosaurs. In this
right?
one. Yeah.
Your guy, he's a little like barbarian named Kronk or whatever, and
He's got a
running
club
around.
and he's just
yeah.
running.
Or it's like a really terrible post-apocalyptic people wearing tires kind of game.
Yeah. It was actually really interesting seeing the sort of the ones that could come up. Hand of Valor was a good one. Like that's definitely an arcade game. It was a good category. I enjoyed it.
The Hand of Valor.
There was one that I can't remember, but there was one that was clearly just like a game wherein you are a yellow pixel and you run around fighting blue pixels. Like it was like a ColecoVision game. I can't remember. It was something just like I don't know. It sounded like the kind of game that would be called like Run Jump, but but it was I can't remember what the card was called. Anyway, that was fun. You should go check out all the replays of the Community Cup,
There
which
is
you can
a whole bunch of them.
see
the
some
whole
of them,
day.
Some of them are on the YouTube
All days.
/ Wizards MTG, and some of them are on youtube.com/GG's Live, so GGS Live, which is Rashad's thing. He's got every single thing replayed, and the Wizard site I think just has the replays of the Khans of Tarkir pre-release.
Yes.
He should call his thing Rashad and Port.
He should.
Rashad
should.
in port.
Rashad in port.
Is Rashad in port? I will.
I'm sure he's never heard that.
No,
Yeah, no.
Surrounded by magic for his
First
whole
time I've made that joke.
yeah.
Oh, can I
We
quickly?
should, we should email that to him.
I should quickly tell a Commander story. I'm playing. This is the night before. I'm playing Commander with Rashad Miller, who does the video production for Wizards coverage. Brian David Marshall, who's one of the commentators and the Pro Tour historian, and Robert Schuster, who works at Wizards of the Coast and was helping out run the event this week or on this weekend. And we're playing Commander, and every time it gets to like I play my turn, Robert plays his turn, and then he and I sit there for what felt like hours while Brian and Rashad take their turn. That has little effect on anything Robert and I are doing, and we certainly can't affect what they're doing. The two of them had a great heads-up Commander game, and Robert and I were like, I guess I cast this Tree Folk. But at one point, they were duplicating Tideswell Tyrant. Something Tyrant. What is it? Tidespout Tyrant. Thank you. That taps down correct me if I'm wrong, taps down all the everything your opponent controls and it doesn't untap on their next untap step?
Sleep?
No.
What's it do?
Whenever you play a spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand.
No, that was a different thing. That was when...
5/5 flying for 8.
Okay, so here's what happened. Rashad gets out Astral Slide and Sun Titan.
I love this format.
So nothing can ever go away. Because if you kill Astral Slide, he will cycle something, blink Sun Titan, Astral Slide will go away, and then the Sun Titan will come back, and he'll return the Astral Slide to play. If you try to kill the Sun Titan, he'll just blink it. It's just, when you get those two out, you can't do anything. So BDM's plan was he would copy Tidespout Tyrant multiple times and cast a bunch of spells and just return all of Rashad's land. And Rashad had like 18 mana sources out, and BDM returned every single one of them in the same turn just by casting stuff, because he had like 28 cards in his hand, no maximum hand size. He was drawing all sorts of stuff. Anyway, there was a creature that like tapped down everything, so he was casting it, and then Rashad was copying it, and then BDM copied the copy. So Robert and I just couldn't do anything for turns at a time. So I walked over and I talked to the community for a little while, and then Robert was like, "Hey Graham, your turn's up," and I walked back and I'm like, "Oh, I actually get to cast something. Why are all my creatures upside down?" What happened? Because Brian had cast Ixodron that turned all face-up creatures face down, meaning that everything... But they don't have morph, so everything just stayed face down forever, so it turned all the creatures into colorless 2/2s. This was one of the strangest Commander games I've ever played. And Rashad had conceded, which I respect that no one appreciates how astonishing that is, but Rashad is like the grindiest player ever. He'd conceded. Robert was dead. It was just me and Brian. Brian has, I want to say, 6 cards in his library. And he casts Unexpected Results. Which is you shuffle your library, you reveal the top card, and you get to cast it for free. And Brian starts shuffling up, and Robert's like, no. Let Graham shuffle it up. And I'm like, all right. So I shuffled his library up, and I put it back down, and Brian says, no, you reveal it. Let's hit that Karn.
You flipped Karn, didn't you?
I guess it was probably more like 12 cards left in the deck, so the chances were less high. He says, let's hit that Karn. Flip it over. It's Karn.
You're dead!
So he casts Karn for free, +1s it to exile the card in my hand, which is Root Grapple, literally the only card in my deck that could kill Karn. Was the one card I had in hand. Awkward. And he ticks Karn up. I do my best. I fight the good fight, I tell you what. And then he restarts the damn game.
Hateful.
Does that restart the game with the other 2 players?
I think it does, but they said no.
Like, hell no.
They conceded immediately.
Oh, dear.
#hero.
So, yeah. No, the
Karn,
the Planeswalker. Karn liberated.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, that was one of the weirdest games of Commander I've played recently. Like, Brian was pretty pleased with the called shot to Karn, but I think he was most proud of making Rashad concede a grindy game. So
it's like, I'm out.
Anyway, wanted to share that. So
all right.
What's up, Paul?
In the rulings, any multiplayer game, any player that left the game before it was restarted with Karn's ability will not be involved in the new game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would assume so.
So it only starts it with people who are left.
That makes sense.
That makes
Cray.
Yeah.
Great.
We would, if they'd been into it, we would have put them back in the game.
But
Just because it would have been funny. But no.
just like I'm playing Shahrazad's and Shahrazad's and Shahrazad's.
So many Ixodrons, why? Anyway, so there's your update to the goings-on of Magic the Gathering. And we will talk to you next week when we'll hopefully have some perspective on Khans of Tarkir to talk
Mardu!
I'm on my way to play in my first standard event in a year.
Oh yeah, with your like weird daring thief pile.
Yeah,
You can let us know how that works next week.
Oh, it's gonna scrub out. Huh?
So excited.
Gonna chub.
But I'm gonna take someone's
You
Pelucanos.
can
Do it.
can go there, 01 drop, come back and record your own personal podcast.
Yeah, it's like, all right, let me tell you about the sick play that I made.
Hey guys, welcome to Camcast.
You know.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.